Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Washington Commanders interior defensive line and how they might have a problem, and these guys are getting paid a lot and not necessarily doing a lot for the Washington Commanders. We'll talk about that, if they could get traded this offseason, and much more. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Trying to hit 15,000 subscribers soon. Takes 1 second. It is free. Just take a chance on me. So the Washington Commanders clinched a 6th seed playoff berth yesterday. They already, clinched into the playoffs, which they did against the Falcons last Sunday night, but they got the 6th seed with the win, and also they got helped out with the Bears winning as well. So they didn't even have to win, but it was going on at the same time. So they will be playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Sunday Night Football, so that will be great. We're going to talk about that extensively this week, so stay tuned for that. But I just want to talk about the Washington Commanders interior defensive line and how they have a little bit of an interior defensive line problem, because they're two highest paid players on the team, really. I mean, you can throw in Terry. So Terry, Daron Payne, and John Allen are the highest paid players. There's some other guys that are getting paid a lot as well, but those are the main guys. Cosme's probably like 4th or 5th, but those guys are getting paid a lot, and Terry's living up to his contract. 1,100 yards this year, close to that, maybe a few away, and then had 13 touchdowns, which is a franchise record for the Redskins, Commanders, and Washington football team, all three of them. The different nicknames, whatever. He has the most as a receiving. Rushing obviously is different. I believe it's John Riggins a while back ago. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, he's performed, outperformed on, honestly, his contract. He's done really well, great leader. But John Allen and Daron Payne have not, especially Daron Payne, because John Allen, he got his contract extension, and the next year he actually had his best year. And he had some good years, after his contract extension, but last year was not very good. It was a little bit underperformed. He still got some sacks, but it just wasn't great play by him. It was inconsistent. And this year, before he got hurt, wasn't good. And, since he's came back, it's 2 games. I'm not going to really judge him that much, but, hasn't been great. He doesn't look, 100% in shape. But Daron Payne, he got paid and really hasn't done anything. Last year, we got a few sacks. This year has a few, just not doing a lot. Some boneheaded plays. The 15-yard penalty in the Cowboys game, that was bad. It cost them 15 yards on the kickoff. They would have started at the 40, started at the 25. He had a play where it looked like he gave up. He could have hit I think it was Ferguson or maybe the fullback 42 behind the line of scrimmage for like a loss of 4 or 5, and he just doesn't tackle him. He just, wraps him up a little bit and then just looks like he lets go. I don't know what he was thinking there. And I think that was the play where it might have been Jeremy Chin. I know Frankie Louvu came in at the end for the with a big shot to the head there, which maybe could have gotten called, but it ended up not really affecting the play. But it's just like, come on, just make that play. And it seems like John Allen, he got paid and he did well a couple years after that, and now maybe some other things are happening, injuries. Like last year he had that plantar however you pronounce it, he had that injury, which I think was lingering throughout the year, and then got injured this year. So injuries might be catching up to him, and he got extended a while ago, so they have a chance. I believe he got extended after the 2020 season or after the 2019 season, I think. So they can move on from him. There's no more guaranteed money on his contract, so they can move on from him. And they can trade him or cut him, and they're going to create a lot of cap space. I think that's what they're going to do. That's what some reports are saying that is likely. I think Ben Standig talked about it. Like, it makes sense if at least one of them's gone. Daron Payne, it's not. I think I looked at it. It's gonna save like less than $1 million. There's a lot of dead money. Don't quote me on that for sure though, the exact amount. But they're not going to save a lot if they move on from him. So with Daron Payne, it's a restructure or a trade. And yeah, I think if you can get something out of a trade, why not do it? Daron Payne has been extremely underwhelming. And yeah, he's a guy that you could almost tell that, he would be a guy that, would have a great contract year, and then maybe after that wouldn't really perform. But I wanted to pay him. I was on Team Pam, so I was wrong there. Allen, again, like I said, he played well his first couple years on under the extension, so not gonna hate on him too much because he has been with this team for a while and has had some very good seasons with the Commanders. The play just fell off. It's whether it's age or injury, I don't know. This might be his last year with the Commanders, but hey, the Commanders are in the playoffs right now. That's what's most important, and we need them to step up. We need them to step up. You got John Allen, you got Daron Payne, you got Johnny Newton, you got Sheldon Day. I mean, Sheldon Day has outperformed Daron Payne this year. I'm not going to lie. I mean, for the snaps he's getting, I think he's played better than Daron Payne. Definitely in the run game. Maybe not in the pass rushing game, but let's not act like Daron Payne's gotten sacks either. So, or like a lot. So if Sheldon Day was getting that amount of snaps that Daron Payne's getting, he would probably be better. But Daron Payne hasn't performed to the level we want him to. But guess what? In 2019, or not 2019, 2020, the playoff game against the Bucs, the guy who stepped up on that defensive line, the whole defensive line, almost, basically laid an egg. We had the Chase Young that week. Oh, I want Tom Brady, whatever, which is cool, but you got to back it up, and he didn't. But Daron Payne, I believe he had a sack and a half and a forced fumble, maybe 2.5 sacks. He had a really, really good game in that playoff game. So, it's still the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the same team, but a lot of different players. So I want to see, let's see what he does. Maybe he has a big game, and that's, that could be huge for the Washington Commanders and his chances of staying on the team or being a key part of the team. Same thing with Jonathan Allen. I think with him, it's less likely he's back because of the guaranteed money on his contract's not there, so they can either trade him or release him, and they don't give up really any money at all. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen there with John Allen. Do maybe they restructure a deal with him? That's definitely a possibility. That's definitely a possibility if he has a good end of the season and they want to keep him around and maybe restructure a deal. That's definitely a possibility for sure, and save some cap space. I don't know how much it would be, but that's definitely something that Adam Peters could do, or he could just release him or maybe trade him and get something out of him. I think that also would be a good option. Daron Payne, though, think he's going to be on the roster. He's getting paid a lot of money. I believe the cap hit next year is like 19 or the base salary or something like that. So it's a lot of money for a guy that's not producing. And this year, you're paying John Allen and Daron Payne like 35 mil combined, 40 mil combined for guys that are not producing. So it's not great. Imagine, they have a lot of cap space, but imagine the cap space what they could do with that money. With that money that they're paying Daron Payne, with that they're paying Jonathan Allen, they could be spending on a receiver, on some more offensive line, on some defensive tackles, some other positions. So it's just disappointing that those guys are underperforming to their contract. And we're gonna see. Got Johnny Newton, who they drafted in the early second round. He's had ups and downs. He's had some good games. He's had some games. But I'm excited for him. He's a guy that hustles. You see him every time there's a tackle made by a defensive lineman a few yards down the field. It's made by him almost every time. He's a hustler. He's very talented, and he started off a little bit slow because of the injury. So this year, he didn't really get a full off season of work because he was injured. So next year's the year for Johnny Newton. I feel good about him. I think they'll move on from one of those two guys. But so maybe that they don't have necessarily a huge defensive tackle problem, but they're getting less value than they should be getting out of, or they're getting underperforming play from John Allen and Daron Payne for what they're paying them for. So they need to step up, and hey, they haven't played well in the regular season. Especially Daron Payne. John Allen's been hurt, so it is what it is. Let's see what they do in the playoffs. That's all that matters. This week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they step up. That's really what matters. So it's who steps up in these big moments. Daron Payne, John Allen, they both played at Alabama. They played in a lot of big moments. These games aren't going to be too bright for them. The lights aren't going to be too bright for them. So I think they'll be able to perform. And let's see if they make some big plays. I'm looking for it this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John Allen, Daron Payne, let's get a couple sacks and, make life for Baker Mayfield hard against his defense. Luvu too. Should have had a pick yesterday. That was so close. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.